Physical activity in your childhood, such as playing sports and exercising, can greatly benefit your health when you are older. Therefore, it is important to promote physical activity in childhood for one's good health. The schoolyard is one place where children and adolescents can be encouraged to take part in physical activity. Thus, knowing how schoolyards are used by students may give us some helpful ideas to promote their physical activity. A study was conducted at 4 schools in Denmark in order to investigate how much different types of schoolyard areas were used and whether students were active or passive in those areas. In the study, schoolyard areas were classified and defined by their primary characteristics. Grass represented playing fields and natural green lawn areas, often used for soccer, but without any marked lines or goals. Multi-court referred to fenced areas on various surfaces, like artificial grass and rubber, designed for tennis and other such ball games. Natural represented areas with, for example, bushes, trees, and natural stones. Playground represented areas with play equipment, such as swings and slides on safe surfaces like sand. Solid surface described the areas with the hardest surfaces, like concrete. These areas were identified by flat open spaces, often having numerous markings painted for games and benches set in different places. Using GPS devices and other instruments, the researchers measured the lengths of time the students spent in the different schoolyard areas as well as the degrees of their physical activity. Figure 1 displays the average amounts of time spent per day in each area for all students and those averages divided into children aged 12 and under and adolescents aged 13 and over. Solid surface was clearly the area in which all students spent most of their time, followed by multi-court then grass. Natural and playground showed similar averages for all students, with the average for all students in playground being just over 2 minutes. Furthermore, the study revealed differences between the average amounts of time spent in schoolyards by children and adolescents. In comparison with adolescents, children spent more time in all schoolyard areas except for natural areas. The greater amount of time spent by children might be explained by the fact that, according to the regulations at all 4 schools, children could not leave the schoolyard during lunchtime, but adolescents could when they wanted to. When looking at the degree of physical activity, researchers discovered differences among the schoolyard areas. Students were most active in grass and playground areas. On the other hand, students were quite passive in solid surface areas, with adolescents spending only 7% of their time there being physically active. The findings of this study show the importance of investigating the potential of various environments and features in schoolyards. To promote students' health, it is also beneficial to observe how varieties of games children and adolescents play affect the length of time spent taking part in physical activity. Let us now take a look at these relationships. Video clip competition. Call for entries. The International Association of Young Producers (IAYP) is proud to open its annual video clip competition again this year. This is a great way to share your creations with a wide audience. Anyone aged 25 and under can participate. The IAYP invites submissions in the following 4 categories. Theme: maximum length. Category A: a topic related to a team sport. 3 minutes. Category B: an idea connected to friendship. 5 minutes. Category C: a social problem based on a true story. 5 minutes. Category D: a mystery with a dramatic ending. 7 minutes. The deadline is 11:59 p.m., October 31, 2017, Japan Standard Time. The 3 best clips in each category will be selected by a committee of famous video creators and posted on this website in December. One overall grand champion will be awarded a ticket to the next IAYP conference in Sydney, Australia. So, don't miss this chance. Get out your video camera and start filming. Follow these steps. Shoot a video and edit it on a computer to an appropriate length for the category you choose. Click here to enter your details and upload your video clip. Rules and conditions. Each person or group can choose only one category. Only clips sent before the deadline will be accepted. Clips must be original and submitted to a competition for the first time. With a big yawn I woke up. What a fresh morning. I felt very sharp, much sharper than usual. I was able to hear the singing of birds more clearly than ever before. I noticed the smell of coffee coming up from downstairs. I stretched out my arms in front of myself and raised my back, it felt so good. I sat up straight, licked my hand, and started to clean my face with it. Something was strange. Why was I licking my hand with my tongue? Why was my body covered with fur? I tried to say something, but the sound that came out of my mouth was meow. It was certainly my bedroom that I was in. It was certainly my bed that I was sitting on. Everything was as usual except that I seemed to have changed into a different creature. I was so surprised that I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything. I wondered, would I have to spend the rest of my life as an animal? I began to feel afraid. But after a few moments those feelings passed. So, with a wave of my tail, I started to explore my surroundings. A cat's mind is said to be changeable like that. As I went down the stairs, the smell of coffee grew stronger and I could tell what was for breakfast. Maybe the senses of a cat are sharper than those of a human. When I got to the dining room, what I saw almost stopped my heart. It was me, the human. I was sitting at the dining table. I couldn't take my eyes off myself. The human. I was absorbed in a smartphone, maybe writing responses to friends' messages or playing an online game. Bending my head down toward the phone, I was sitting with rounded shoulders and a curved back. I looked very uncomfortable. I sometimes took a little bite of toast, but it appeared that I was not noticing any taste in my mouth. Actually, the taste of toast in my memory was vague. I couldn't remember what else had been served for breakfast recently, either. The human. I was just mindlessly putting in my mouth anything that was on the plate while handling the phone. I was so focused on the text messages or games that I took little interest in what was happening around me. In fact, my face had no expression on it at all. Yuji, you never study these days. Are you ready for your final exams? You're making me a little bit worried, said Mom. Said I. A sign of frustration briefly appeared on my face, but it disappeared in an instant. My face was again as expressionless as it had been before. I don't like this guy, I thought. But this guy was me. I couldn't deny it. For the first time, I realized how I really looked to other people. Then, as I started to leave the table, our eyes met. Wow, Mom, look, there's a cat in the dining room. I didn't know why, but I was running. I felt I had to escape. Running up the stairs, I found the window in my room was open. I jumped. I had a strange feeling. The world suddenly seemed to have shifted. I felt my body falling down and bump. I was awake, lying on the floor of my room. I slowly sat up and looked around. Everything looked like it usually did. I looked at my hands. I was relieved to see they were no longer covered with fur. I stood up and, with a yawn, extended my arms above my head to stretch my back. Without thinking, as was my usual habit in the morning, I started to walk to my desk where my smartphone had completed charging and I stopped. After pausing for a moment, I turned around and went downstairs for breakfast. For most people, their friendships are a valuable and important part of who they are. Psychologists have pointed out that well-established friendships lead us to a better understanding of ourselves. They have also noted that we might face conflicts not only with acquaintances but even with our good friends, which could result in ends to some of our friendships. Fortunately, even when such conflicts occur, it is possible to find ways to maintain or save the friendships. One way to help save a friendship in trouble is to keep in touch. When we think a friend has done something that hurt our feelings, our first response may be to cut off contact. However, it may be better to swallow our pride and avoid doing that. For example, Mary watched her friend Susan's children every week until Susan finished night school and graduated. But after that, Mary did not hear from Susan for several months. So, she felt that Susan had been just using her. She decided not to talk to her any more. In the end, however, Mary forced herself to ignore her own feelings and told Susan about her disappointment. Susan immediately apologized and told her that she had been just trying to catch up with things after completing her studies. Susan would never have known there was a problem if Mary had not mentioned it. Not cutting off contact, even when we may be angry, is very important for maintaining good relationships. Another way to help a friendship is to see things from our friend's point of view. For example, Mark was very upset at his good friend, Kate, because she had not visited him in the hospital. Later, he learned from Kate's friend that she had been afraid of hospitals ever since she had been hospitalized as a little girl for a serious illness. Mark then understood why Kate hadn't come and, instead of being angry, he felt sympathy for her. An important part of dealing with friendships is to recognize and accept that they can change as our needs and lifestyles evolve. For example, we may have a good friend in high school, but once we graduate, move to a different city for work or study, or get married, we may see that friend less frequently and our feelings may change. In other words, sometimes a close friendship may alter in nature. We should keep in mind that we may still be friends but not in the same way as before. How do people keep friendships for a long time? In one study, researchers interviewed many people who had been friends for a long time in order to find out the secret. They found that those people kept small misunderstandings from growing into large disputes which might cause their friendships to end. By taking their friends' viewpoints and not being afraid to express their honest feelings, those who were interviewed were able to keep something minor from growing into a major argument. We all know that friendships are precious, but we also understand that friendships are not always stable. The challenge in maintaining friendships is keeping the connection strong during the ups and downs that happen in all relationships. When things are going well, we enjoy our friendships. If things go bad, we should remember the points above. Sometimes we can get the relationship back on track, but at other times we should accept and appreciate that relationships can change. However, regardless of the states of our friendships, they will continue to be an important part of our lives.